Last video, I asked you guys, hey, push in the chips with the young guys and go all in with this core like I think a lot of people feel they deserve, or keep the young guys around and keep this two timeline thing going on. Not an easy answer, right? Well, it just got a lot more complicated. You know the news by now. Steph Curry goes down Saturday night, and what is it, the tibiofibular ligament? The side of the knee that connects the joints. Listen, it's such a unique injury, I think, in sports. Even the doctors, I don't think they have enough data to give us a really good timetable on this injury. And they say, well, pain, how well can he deal with the pain and the stability? And they just don't seem to know. From what I've heard is it's like, hey, each body's going to respond differently, right? And when you look at who Steph is and the lifestyle that he lives, right, even though he is an older athlete, you assume that that works to his favor. We know he's going to eat right, he's going to sleep right, he's going to hydrate, he's going to do everything possible because that's who Steph is. But I think at the same time, we also have to acknowledge, because there's such little data on an injury like this to a basketball player, that timetable could keep extending, especially when you look at how the Warriors traditionally deal with letting us know about injuries, right? They're very Belichickian when it comes to this. And what's the joke? 2 more weeks, right? Would it surprise any of you if we just kept getting the 2 more week update on Steph, right? 2 weeks go by, 2 more weeks, 2 more weeks. It's April, 2 more weeks. I don't want to be negative, but y'all know sometimes I'm more of a glass half empty type of dude, right? And so now we sit in this situation, just 2 games until Thursday's trade deadline. You see Dallas has pushed all their chips in. The Lakers sound like they're trying to do even more things, right? A lot of these there's an arms race out here. Suns had offered Chris Paul. These teams are looking to be buyers. Are the Warriors still buyers now that Steph is out with no true timetable to his return? So do you make a move now to hold the fort down for Steph in his return and make that push because we know the West is so jumbled up? Here's the argument you make, right? Well, Jonathan Kuminga seems to be taking a step each week into a real guy. I mean, you guys see it. This dude, the potential is, we always knew it was there, but to see him realizing it this quickly and rapidly is very promising, right? Dante DiVincenzo has been a perfect Warriors system fit. And since, what do you have, the tight hamstring, the first 2 weeks, 3 weeks of the season? Since he's got back from there, he's been everything we expected him to be, right? Klay Thompson coming off his best shooting month of his career, which is crazy to say at this point in his career, right? January, where he's shot himself back into rhythm, right? Draymond is slowly regaining his voice, engaged. We know it's a big contract year for him, right? We also know how much better Jordan Poole plays when he's in the starting lineup and he kind of can be the guy. He's shown that in the past. What else? I think that those are the reasons you'd point to and say, hey, as well as the standings and how jumbled up they are, hey, they're going to hold it down, right? It's just a couple weeks with Steph. We'll be right there. We'll be ready to go, and it'll be even better for it, right? Well, now let me spin the negative side of that. I got to do it, right? Let me push back and give you the other argument. The other thing that I keep hearing people say is, well, look at last year. Remember, Steph was out. He got hurt last year, and we know how that ended up. Listen, last season, there were big chunks of time throughout the season where the Warriors looked like the best team in the league. There's no denying that, right? The start they got off to, and there was these chunks in the season. This season, there's been chunks of the year where we just look like a lottery team. We haven't put together a stretch of games where it looks like it could all come together. I think that first and foremost is the most troubling thing, right? Jordan Poole, I know, granted, when he gets more opportunity, it seems like he performs, in my opinion, has looked to be more of a third guard than a future lead guard, right? Just defensively. Then you look at the other youth, Moses Moody, I'm not sure is an NBA player. I don't, seems like a really good kid. I'm not sure he is. James Wiseman, we know, can't get on the floor, right? And so I would push back and say, hey, man, again, are we much more closer to the back end of these things than climbing up into the standings and getting out of this play-in game? And that's just with this play-in game that the NBA has. It's good for business. I understand why they did it, but it has a lot of these teams caught in this in between with perhaps some false hope, right? And so it's just a weird situation here. And again, if you can, do you make the Moses Wiseman type deal, get another veteran, get some reinforcements? But I'll propose another question to you. What if you went the other way? As good as Dante DiVincenzo has been, he's on a 1-year make good deal. I think he has a player option for next year. He's not going to exercise that. If he continues to play the way he's played, he is going to get a nice payday, a payday that the Warriors can't afford. And so could you possibly trade him at the deadline for more youth and just lean into the youth right now? You know, the Wiseman subject is so controversial, and there's people they've taken such a stand one way or the other. It's like we can't talk about it logically anymore, right? And I think the thing would be, okay, Poole is going to be in the Steph role. We know that, right? Now, that depletes the second unit offense. Could Wiseman potentially give us some of that offense? I think we all understand, we've seen enough. Like defensively, he ain't Ben Wallace, right? He ain't prime Dwight Howard. He ain't ever going to be that. The question with Wiseman moving forward is, can the juice be worth the squeeze offensively? Can he score efficiently enough and well enough where you can overlook the defensive issues that are going to be there, right? But we haven't seen him get that opportunity. I know you saw, was it Saturday night? He's calling for the ball. People think they're icing him out. Listen, I went into the breakdown. No doubt they need to look for him more. He also needs to make himself better available, show himself better with angles and certain things like that. You can tell there's a lack of confidence with the guards giving him the ball. They're like, you gonna catch it? You gonna catch? Like, I don't know if I'm gonna give it to you. But my point is, can he get 12 minutes, 15 minutes here in this stretch without Steph? But what you would have to do is use him as an offensive player. Running him out there for 10 minutes and saying, hey, rebound, defend, set screens, you're asking him to do all the shit he doesn't do good, right? So if you're going to put him out there, let him shoot some threes, run some screen stuff where he's option one. Whether it's a slip or a roll, give him some space, run that back lob off of Clay setting the screen or Poole setting the screen. Encourage his offense, because that's where his value is going to be, if there's going to be any value. All right, I see I've already gone off on a Wiseman rant, but here we are with the two timeline things. I guess my point is, and listen, there's no right answer to this. I think we all know that. The only answer will come in hindsight, in retrospect, when we look back a year from now and we're like, dang, they should have done this way. And I think they're just caught in a tough spot. The one thing that I will say, listen, Andre, what did Clay say the other day? He always says something wild with Memphis, right? He said they disrespected Andre, and this man's going to have a statue out front here, one day, right? I agree, right? He is. You can't tell this story of this dynasty without Andre, and his jersey should go in the rafters. He should also hang it up right now. You're being selfish, dude. You're being selfish. Like, as far as now, again, with this two timeline, like, we need that roster spot, whether it's Ty, whether it's Lamb, that's a different discussion. One thing we do know is it shouldn't be Andre. Your body has betrayed you. Your body is telling you no, right? My mind, but my body. I'm going crazy, y'all. Nah. Yeah, man, I don't know. Again, me being the pessimist that I tend to be, part of me, I'll tell you what it is. I'm so tired of hearing people complain about the young guys not getting proper opportunity. I really kind of want to see them lean in right now and give them Moody and give Wiseman 15, 20 minutes and see what that would be right now. So just so this argument can stop. But at the same time, if I were to guess, I do think they probably make a move here in the next few days, whether it's just a small, not a big one, right? But something to bolster the lineup and try to hold the fort down, as they say, and make a push because, again, there's so many things at hand here. How much, someone will remember here in the comments, how much is the gate for a Warriors playoff game? I know it's more than any other team in the league, right? They make a couple $1 million each home playoff game, right? And so there's some incentive there, even if it is a play-in run. Like, at what point is it worth it? Can the youth develop even within this run? I don't know, man. I don't know. It's wild. Obviously, prayers to Steph. And hey, maybe he comes out of the All-Star break and he's just fine. But I just think we also, because a lot of people are like, all right, hold it down for a few weeks. We have to acknowledge the rarity of this injury. It could be 6 months. Knock on wood, it's not, right? But it could be a long time. And then it would be like, oh, and you traded Moses and Wiseman for Mason Plumlee for a seat. Like, it's a tough spot right now, man. But all you can do is watch it play out. I am excited to see some more of Kuminga. Another thing I brought out in the breakdown is he is looking like you can run stuff through him. That's what's been so surprising. And listen, all these young guys, they have to be handled a little bit differently, right? You know, the old saying, like, some players need a kick in the butt, some players need a pat on the back, right? And Wiseman seems like one of these dudes, and Moody as well. They may need a pat on the back. They may need encouragement and their confidence to be nourished. Where young Kuminga, I think the kick in the butt and the short leash that has been very frustrating to watch, we're also seeing it pay off, right? Because all of a sudden he's just disciplined. Now, defensively, he certainly needs to be more disciplined, and that's tough when you're a nuclear athlete like him. He's going to leave his feet, right? It's just natural. But offensively, he's been so disciplined, and very rarely, because you hear this story all the time with young players. Like, if you start scouting the draft, right, it's the same story every year. Big athletic wing who can't really shoot. Like, the shot is suspect, right? So now teams are backing off him and daring, but he can finish at the rim. And it's a very hard balancing act for a player like Kuminga at this stage to figure out when to shoot that three and when to get downhill. And I'm very impressed with Kuminga's balance of getting downhill and when to shoot that three, as well as his discipline. When he does get in the paint, he doesn't force it anymore, right? He'll hit you with that pump fake, but he's perfectly content kicking it back out and watching the offense operate. And so I say all that to say that in this time without Steph Curry, whether they make a move for a vet or not, we know Kuminga ain't going anywhere. I think they need to lean into Kuminga and run some more offense through him, not just to develop, but I think it may be the best option, what he's shown us. Like, I don't think there's any limit to what he can do, and so he needs to be used more. Whether Moody or Wiseman get out there or not, I'm not holding my breath. I don't think any of you are. But look, I guess I'm convincing myself to just hold down the fort as we talk here. I guess the other element that I haven't brought up is Andrew Wiggins. Wiggs, we need you. We need you, right? I think we all understand that what he's dealt with this season, and there's reasons why he hasn't looked well, but he's going to have to flip a switch here as far as just his aggression. You saw him even late in that game Saturday night. It's like he gets downhill and he doesn't want to finish anymore. So maybe the blessing in disguise with this will force Andrew Wiggins to get back to playing more aggressive offensively, just out of necessity. Like, hey, Steph ain't on the floor with you no more, buddy. You got to look to finish some of these. Draymond as well. He was very aggressive offensively the other night. So now, what is there, 5 games until the All-Star break? Thunder, Lakers, Clippers, Blazers, not in that order. All very winnable games on paper, I hear people say. But what does that mean in the West? The parity in this Western Conference suggests that, yeah, all games are winnable and all games are losable. And I think that this 5-game stretch here into the All-Star break is going to really tell the story. The problem is the deadline will have already passed. So I don't know, man. All right, that's all I got for you today. I know that I had to touch base with y'all. Let's jump into some VIP takes on this Kyrie trade.